My name is Linda Bridges, and my son-in-law was a patient about a year ago. And John was very, very sick. He had been diagnosed many things and had suffered many treatments from other doctors. And when he, by happenstance, met somebody in Hawaii that told him about he and his wife scraped together their money and they came to California for this treatment. And we have seen such a huge difference in John since then. It really, I think this treatment really saved his life, both his emotional and his spiritual life. He was at the very bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and when he came here, he had hope for the very first time. And I feel a little rebuked because as his mother-in-law, I didn't always understand the severity of his symptoms. I didn't know very much about fibromyalgia or how it affects the psyche and the emotional stamina of the patient. And when we did research and began to look at the website and understand more, it was really an encouragement to us. And we began to pray for John's healing in a whole different light. And God really did answer that prayer. And it was because of John that we were able to tell Maria about this place. Maria was at a really critical state in her health.
Yeah, I was at a point where I didn't know if I would be able to work anymore. And that would have meant I would have had to leave Thailand, where I live and work and where I grew up, and somehow find a spot in Germany, and that just seemed totally out of the question. And so I was very at the end of all tethers and searching for some sort of way out, and still hopeless enough not to know where to start, what doctor to go to, or anything. And at that point, Linda was a dear friend to me because I was able to pour out my heart to her. And she was just startled and told me she didn't realize that there wasn't anybody there to advocate for me. And she didn't realize also all the physical stuff I had been going through. We had talked about all sorts of other interesting and very invigorating things, and we have a lot of things to communicate about, but that was the first that she found out about more about my health. And so that sent her on a journey that I was surprised about.
I was determined to help Maria research some more recent treatments for some of her illnesses, and when I found out that some of her symptoms really sounded like fibromyalgia, I asked her if she'd ever been told or considered this as a possibility for treatment, and of course she'd never heard of it before, not much.
Well, a neurologist of mine had mentioned it, but because he said there was no cure for it, I sort of ignored it and stuck with his other diagnosis, and which is part of fibromyalgia. He diagnosed neuropathic pain syndrome, and so I just went with that and suffered through some medication that I couldn't tolerate and all sorts of things. And so when I saw the website that Linda showed me, she actually made me sit down. I would not have looked at the website because I felt so hopeless, and so I actually sort of held her at an arm's length with her enthusiasm to research, because I felt like I had tried everything and there wasn't anything out there, and I just didn't think that anybody could come in from the outside like that and actually find something.
Yeah, I think it was only because I'd heard so much, about our son-in-law, and I can really say that he came here at the very end of his tether, like you said, and very hopeless. It was the last thing, and his marriage was under stress, his relationships with family was under stress, and I think that if this hadn't have happened, John would have probably been divorced by now. Instead, now he's the happy father of a week-and-a-half-year-old, week-and-a-half-old baby. Which we really rejoice in. So we just thank God that.
And he got a job.
And he got a job, which is the first time in probably 3 years that he's been able to work in a physical type of job. So it could not have happened without this treatment. So we just thank God for that. And I know that God has special things in store for Maria, who is also sort of at the end of into the line as far as any kind of treatment goes, and I know that it's going to be a help to her, and no matter, even if it's only 50% or what, but we're counting on 100.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're counting on 100.
Right.
But I know that'll take time. I just thank God that there's a place like this. When I researched, there's nothing else like this. I haven't found it on the internet anyway.
Yeah.
And Maria had a friend looking in Germany, and there just doesn't seem to be any kind of treatment or any kind of hope for fibromyalgia patients. So, anyway.
Yeah. Another thing I really want to mention about this place is there are people here that see the person. It's not just that body that gets fixed or something. There's the whole person in view. And I have been to a lot of places where they treat you like a patient, and a patient equals like this object that they're dealing with. And the sickness is this something there that makes you weird, and I don't know, it just
There's
feels
no
like
dignity
I
in
can be human here and a person, and that is very, very precious.
Yeah.
And yeah, Linda has rallied all these friends to back me up, and yeah, I just feel really amazed at how a very lonely place in my life has become so alive and new in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's
Very
exactly what
precious.
John said. He said he had never felt so alone, and except for when he was so sick. But when he came here, he said that dissipated. It was like there were people that really could understand what he was going through, and he could cry openly. He could talk about it, and have people really understand. And so, you know, that really touched my heart. And I know that Maria's finding fellowship here already, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else we can share.
So whoever's out there, take that leap of faith
Yeah,
and
it really
dare
is.
to hope.
That's right.
Yeah.
It really is a leap of faith, but I believe it's one that God kind of nudges people towards.
Yeah.